Hello everyone, it's Amy and welcome back to my channel. So I am here to play with some more of the Halloween bits. I wanted to do a mixed media piece, and so I thought that I would bring you along. Now I've been kind of as I'm going through my kit, I've been deciding on what I wanted to do with this, but here's just a piece of one of the napkins that I just put on corrugated cardboard. These are really cute, even to just trim the corners a little bit or round the corners a little bit, ink the edges, and just set them in your art room somewhere. They're just cute, or you can use them as a journaling card. Now, being that I put this on a fairly regular size piece of cardboard, I don't know that it would go real well in a book, but it just depends. Or even on the cover of a journal or something that you're making, it might be cute. So, but I was looking at this. Now, this came out of a box. I think that it might have been like the top of a coffee pot or something. I'm not really sure, but it just came out of the box that we bought something in. And so I just want to show you how this is just my pokey tool, and you can have any kind of a pokey tool, even little tiny screwdrivers that you can get at the Dollar Tree. The Phillips screwdrivers work really well for a pokey tool. You know, the little tiny screwdrivers. So, but the way that I peel my cardboard is I just go in and slide my pokey tool. Like, this is the heavy cardboard. And I just slide my pokey tool in the groove. And then I just kind of, when I get to a piece of paper, I just kind of hold that paper on my pokey tool and pull it off. If I get a big piece that pulls up that I can get a hold of, then I'll just grab it and rip it off that way. And I do like to leave a little bit of the extra bits and pieces on there, just because it kind of looks cool. That's the whole point of mixed media, is having lots of different textures and colors and just product in your project. So, and it doesn't have to ever be anything fancy. It's just a matter of what vision you have as to what you're trying to do, and then you just kind of think about doing it. I saw this and I wanted to do something with this, and what I was doing has changed a few times since I pulled this out and started thinking about it. As I was going through some of the stuff that I had, things kind of popped into my head like, oh, I could do this or I could do that. And so I just went ahead and I kind of wrote things down a little bit as to what I might want to use and where I would want to put it. And as it became more clear in my head what I wanted to do, I just made more notes, because that's the way to make it easier on yourself and not come back later and go, oh, shoot, I was going to do this and I forgot. Now it's too late. And I really wanted to do that. So, go ahead and take notes. Make yourself notes. Art is not about just sitting down and doing something totally off the top of your head and not having any thought about it whatsoever. Go ahead and think about it. And if you want to just slap something down, go ahead and do that too. It's just about whatever you feel. So I thought this was really cool, and I was actually going to cut it off right here. And then later on, I thought, well, maybe I'll leave these two little tiny side panels and I'll cut it off there. And then as I was messing with it at one point, I thought, it would be kind of cool to keep that back part, because then maybe I could put some lights in there if I decide that I wanted to put some lights in there. I don't know if I would or not, but it doesn't hurt to keep the back parts. But if I take them off, then I could tape them back on. But why not leave it where it's kind of sturdy? So this is going to be my base of what I'm working with. Now, I just wanted to do a Halloween scene. That was my thought. So I have this piece of dyed paper, and I thought, well, it might look kind of cool if it looked like rays going down like on my paper. And I think I want this little bit to be at the bottom, just because then it's kind of hidden. It's not very noticeable being right at the top. And then it's like, well, which way did I want the rays to go? Because I really kind of wanted them to go this way. And I'm not sure, I'm trying to think now whether I actually could get that to work or not. Because I'm thinking that I could. There we go. And I can just twist that paper. And I don't really like that section. I kind of think I like that. So, yes, my paper's on an angle, but I can always use the other pieces for something else. And so I'm just going to kind of put a line there. Oh, maybe I'm putting a line on there. This pen is dried out. Grab a pencil. I'm going to put a line here. And actually, I'm thinking now, I think I remember that I kind of changed my mind and I wasn't going to do this. So, but this is where I would cut it to put that right behind my circle. And so I'm going to leave that for now. I think I am going to cut that top portion off so that I can line it up and just look at it as I'm going, because now I don't remember exactly what I was, if I was going to use this or not. So I'm going to keep this like that. Alrighty, and so then I wanted a moon. And so I thought, well, I'm going to use a stencil. I'm going to make myself a stencil because I might want to make more moons for Halloween. And so I just grabbed a piece of cardstock and I drew a circle on the inside of my tape. And then I just cut it out with an X-Acto knife. And so then I thought, well, I want just a crescent moon. So I did the same thing. I drew around my moon. And then I just took my tape and drew around the outside here and made a crescent moon. And then I wanted to do a pumpkin. And so I just took my tape because I've got so little left on it. And I kind of gave it a squish. And then I drew around it. And then I drew the little, like, dents in the pumpkin. And then I cut this out and I cut this out and I started cutting this out. And I thought, but I want to have a stem on the pumpkin, but I don't want it to be orange, so I don't want to cut it out and make it be orange. And I don't want to make a stamp that's going to stamp on top of where I've already colored it orange. So I should not have started to cut that out yet. I should have drawn it all and then drawn my little stem on there and then cut around it, because I had already started to cut the little veins or whatever in the pumpkin. When I went to put the other on, it was cutting those veins off. And so I kind of had to tape it on and then cut the tape out, which worked so. But I'm going to show you how that works then I already cut out the moon. This one was here, so I wanted a blue moon, so I did that and I cut that one out, and then I just did the crescent moon. And when I did stencil my orange over the pumpkin, this is what it looks like. See, because then it leaves the gap for my stem of the pumpkin. That's why I should have stamped that first, so I could have just cut around it because I had already cut these up here. When I cut around this, then that made those kind of fall off, or, like be loose. But it still works. So long as I just hold it down, I can still use that. And so, but what I did to do the stem was, before I cut this out, I drew a stem and then I traced around it and then I cut out the rest of it. And so here is my stem. And so, oops, the stem does not have a handle on it. The way to make a handle on your own homemade stamps, if you watch my channel, you've seen this a million times. Well, the first thing you have to do is find the end of your masking tape. And I'm not sure where it went. There it is, right there. Okay, so you just take a piece of masking tape. I like masking tape, but you can use any kind of tape. And then what you're going to do is you're going to hold on to both outside edges to have a wing left there. And then you're going to fold the two. Just fold it up in the middle like that. You have a little wing on each side sticking out. And then that wing, I'm going to make that wing just a little bit smaller. And then I'm going to stick it on the back of my stamp. just like that. I'm going to hold this is my handle right here. So I'm going to hold that out just a little bit and go cut off the excess masking tape. I need to put, you'd think that I would put my glasses on before I start, but I never put them on until I figure out I can't see. Alrighty. And then I'm just going to stamp this right on my pumpkin to show you how that works. Oh, it's a little bit of green ink on there. And make sure that I have a pretty flat surface to stamp onto. And then you just take your stamp and you line it up with those empty spaces. Like that. And there we go. So there's our pumpkin with the stem sticking out without this part of it being green and orange, because you could just stamp that right over a solid pumpkin, but then it would be a different color right here, and I just wanted it to look like that was all one piece on top of the pumpkin, not blending in with the orange and making it look a little different. So, and this also looks kind of like a tree stump too. So you could use it just as a little creepy tree stump in a Halloween project. So I went ahead and I made myself some stencils so I could have a blue moon. And since I was using the piece of paper that I made them on, I wanted to fill it. Now, when I make a stencil, I try to remember, the more over the years I've made, the more I've learned, leave space around the edges so that you're not stamping onto the project that you're trying to stencil onto and getting your ink all over your background paper. If you have just a very little edge, you want to have a nice area, and so that's why I kind of spread them out. So if I was doing this one, I wasn't accidentally stenciling over here into this hole and getting yellow ink on my project that I might not want there. So let's set those aside and kind of start putting this together. So my thoughts were, I wanted to have my moon here, and these were supposed to be like rays from the moon. So I wanted that kind of like that. And then, let's see, I brought all my stuff out here. Okay, I had a piece of my black paper. And I want that to be kind of like a mountain. Kind of like that. And then I was thinking that it would be cool to have this tree in the background. Like that. And then I have a little wonky house here that I made. This is just the book page, and all I did was cut a rectangle. This corner had been ripped off of something, and so I used that for the roof. This piece was cut off of something I was cutting out, so I went ahead and used that for the chimney. On the chimney, I just used my black fine liner, and really, no, actually I think I used a ballpoint pen, and just really lightly just kind of made some broken lines, like, you know, to make the little brickwork on the chimney. So, and then I wanted to have some windows on there, and so I made some stamps because I thought I may make some more fun, like spooky houses and crooked houses throughout. You know, we've got a ways now for Halloween, so I went ahead and I made some square windows and a round window and a door. Well, here's my door. And again, that was just made with the fun foam. I just pushed a little dot into here to give my door a doorknob. And then these ones I cut it out to leave space between the windows. And then the round one, I just went ahead and I used a flat surface and just pressed a line both ways instead of cutting it apart and moving it, because I was afraid I wouldn't get it back together by the time I was putting that together. So I went ahead and did it that way. So I made myself some stamps to do some windows, and I can do those again later. So I thought that the house would look kind of cool here. And then I thought maybe a couple of the tombstones might look cute on there. And because I wanted to have more background, I thought that this would make kind of a neat background to put this on here. And I want to make it so that there's the fold line there. I want to make it so that the cat is on my corrugated cardboard there because I want to see the cat part. So in order to do this, I need to take these off for right this second. And I think I'll do this right now and then maybe work on that a bit now to make sure. What I could do right this second is just lift this off and just glue these pieces together just like they are. And then I could just come back in and set this down here and, you know, and then just cut off my excess. But because I'm going to put this on right now in my house and everything, I'm not 100% sure if that's exactly how I want that because I have my big bat. I have to figure out what I did. Oh, here he is. Because I also want my bat on here. And I think I want him on the front. So I want to glue him on there. But first things first, let's put this on. And I'm going to say, now, here's the other thing. When I did this, I went, oh, but I wanted my blue moon. But look, there's a moon on here too. And when I put this on here, if I take the cat, I'm going to wind up with a moon here. So the question is then, well, what about it? You know, it's all right because it's supposed to be a spooky Halloween weird thing. So there's going to be 2 moons out this night. You never know what could happen at Halloween. So I'm going to take my water glue and glue on my napkin so that I can set it aside. I'll put this on here. Nope. I'm going to put this on there. There we go. And then I forgot to shake my glue, so I'm going to stir it up. Whoops. Just splashed that all over myself. And I didn't have a napkin. So I'm going to get a wet napkin. This is just water in an old hairspray bottle. Again, take the lid or take the label off the bottle so that people know that's not hairspray. Well, it's just water. It wouldn't hurt them, but if they had their hair all fixed and sprayed water on it, I don't think they'd be very happy. All right, so here we go. Now I know that I want this right from this point out. Now, should I go around the corner? Maybe I should, but I'll put a little bit of glue there. There's not enough to completely go around both of these pieces, but maybe going a little bit around the edge, whether I cut it or, you know, whether I fold it up or whatever, it'll make sure that I actually go to the edge. So I'll do that right now. No, because it's water glue, it's not real thick, so you do want to move fairly fast. I was just wiping up some that I dripped there. I want to get in those grooves. And I'm not sure how high up it comes, so it won't hurt for me to take it all the way to the top. I want to get in that corner real well. And then let's turn it back around. I'm gonna take that piece of paper out and put something else under here. And then again, I want to make sure that I've got my cat. I'll line it up right at the bottom. Okay, and the cat's on there. And then you want to take your water glue and put it on top. And don't forget to get it, and start kind of at one end, top or bottom, and start pressing it in. And I actually should not have put the whole thing down on the glue to start with. Because it's kind of pulling it tight and not wanting to let me press it down into those grooves. Which you really, really want to make sure that you do that. So luckily I was able to pick it up. Sometimes you can't. And if you start to try and you just can't, then you kind of just deal with it. Then I would not lift it up. I would just see if I can slowly push into those grooves and maybe stretch the fibers a little bit. We're just going to get that nice and glued. Now this is going to take a while to dry, but I think I'm just going to work on top of it even while it's wet. Normally I would let it dry, because that way if it's warping or, you know, if I want to change something or whatever, it's easier to do. But we're going to try and finish this whole thing in this one video. And now, so now we do have, we're covered up right there. So what you're going to do, now because this is wet with glue, it's going to rip anyways. But I'm going to show you how to rip napkins. Like if that was just setting on there and you wanted to take a piece out, wet it. And the glue is not as wet as water. So you are going to wet it. This is just water. And that will make it much easier to push that out without ripping the napkin out here where I don't want to rip it. It will rip right in this area. Much easier. So there we go. And you can use your brush to rip it. You can use your hands to rip it. Just pushing through it there because it's wet enough to do that now. So I'm going to do this all the way around. And then what's left there, I will fold to the back. I could make sure that I had a lot left there to make sure that it folds all the way around, but that's okay with me. That doesn't matter to me. But that's something for you to think about. If you really want to make sure it folds over, make sure that you rip it out far enough that it does that. So there we go. And now I still have this little extra piece, which I'm going to stick upside down on a piece of plastic. Actually, upside down, that's the side the glue's on. So, but it should be okay with the plastic. Alrighty. And really, I should like move this stuff out of the way instead of leaving it there. I'm being very lazy in this project. And I'm just going to, maybe I'll come from this side. And just pull it back this way. See, in places I didn't leave enough, and in places there's plenty. Like I said, that was one thing that I was not worried about, because I kind of like the looks of that. You can kind of see that cardboard there. Alrighty. And so now we've got that like that. Now the question is, what am I going to do up here? And at this point in time, I'm not 100% sure. I think that I want to put the boo up there, so I'm going to leave it just the corrugated cardboard. I could have taken this off. I could use part of the napkin from the white part, which I'm not sure I put it, but I could use some of this here to put up there. But right now I'm going to leave it, because if I put the boo up there, then I think I want the corrugated cardboard up there. Now this one is folded over a little bit. I like that. This one is folded over a little bit more than that, and I kind of don't like that. So I'm going to kind of lift it up. Because I don't want it to glue down to the cardboard, but I'm trying to think, I don't really want to rip it because I want a straight line. So my question to myself is, do I want to cut it with scissors right now? Do I want to leave it and cut it with scissors or an X-Acto knife later? But I'm afraid it's going to just keep falling back down and glue itself. So I'm going to try to cut it right now. And it's not working the best. Make sure I hold it out here and see how that works. These are non-stick scissors, so that helps a little bit. Although something that's this wet and sticky right now still kind of can make a mess. Here we go. Ah. Alrighty. So that is okay. Much better than it was. All right, so now, what do I want to do next? I think that I am going to lay it back out again and glue the other bits together like I said I could earlier. So first, let's get it lined up the way it needs to be. I'm going to put the moon where I want it. Right there. And put the mountain in. Right there. Then add the tree. So do I want the tree? I don't want the tree in the front. I keep thinking that maybe I do, but I don't. I want the tree there. I like the way that that looks. So now I'm going to take some glue. I'm going to start with the moon. And I can always glue these down better later. Right now I want to glue them down right where I want them to stay. Uh-oh. All right, let's see how this is. Oh, and here is my one of my sketches. Okay, so that is going to be like that. And at this point in time, I do want to put a little bit of glue underneath these, the tree branches. So I'm going to use just a toothpick, put a little bit of glue here. Because I don't want it squishing out all over the place, so I'm just going to run that toothpick underneath the branches. And I've gotten a little bit on the top, that's okay. I'm going to wipe that off, but just want to get the tips of those branches because I don't want them to get all bent up while I'm doing anything else. And you can edge around these if you want to. Sometimes I do edge and sometimes I don't. It all really just depends on what I'm working with. In this case, I think I have enough contrast between all of my colors that it doesn't make a difference. When I really, really like to edge is when my colors are very close to the same or they are the same. Then I like to edge it because then that gives you distinction between your pieces. I was looking to see if my hands were turning black from messing with that, but they're not. All right, so that's going to be not way up there. Alrighty, so that's going right there. I'm going to cut this off now because it makes it easier to see what it's looking like without having the extra sticking out at this point in time. Really, hope I didn't cut that too much. All right. All right, so we've got that like that. Oh, that's the way it goes, just like that. All right, now I also wanted to put, one thing I wanted to put up there was the spider web. And that was something when I looked at this right here, that reminded me I wanted to put the spider web there. I wanted to put the big back there and the thing in a house and the moon and some tombstones. But the one thing that I wanted to do was to take one of these and put it up in that corner. And then the boo is going to be over here, and this is going to be right next to it. All right. So I need to use my water glue up here again. Even though that was up there, I definitely want it to be wet enough to actually grab a hold of this. Again, going to kind of get it pushed into all of the grooves. And there we go. There's our spider web. And here's my bat. He's going to go there. So I'm going to put a little bit of glue on the edges of his wings. And like on each one of his, I don't know if these are ears or horns. I don't know much about bats. I know they eat mosquitoes. They're not bad. They're good. I know Pop always wanted to build a bat house and put it up on the barn. We never got around to it. So there's my background. And even though we've got the yellow moon and the blue moon, the yellow moon's not real noticeable. Maybe when it dries, it will be more noticeable, because I kind of liked that idea. Now, the question is, where did I put the house and the tombstones when I moved them out of the way? Here's my boo. I've already glued it together because that's 2 layers, so I want this one to be up there like that. I think that's cute. That's going to need some real glue on it. And now that I put them up there, I might as well really glue them down. I'm not super particular about my glue. I just want to make sure I have enough glue. I don't need to really overdo it. But it doesn't need to be super smooth, because it's going to catch whether it's smooth or rough. And nobody's going to see it. This is heavy cardstock going on heavy cardboard. I do want my word to be in line. There, that's cute. And here they are. Now I have my house. I'm going to put it right there. And I'm just going to put this on with regular glue, because it's sticking over the edge of the circle. I'm not going to put the water glue on it, which is basically like Mod Podge. Now I need to decide, where do I want these 3? That one there. I think I like that. Maybe down just a little bit. And when it comes to scale, that's totally up to you as to how you do things. Some things I'm very cautious about scale. In other words, these tombstones are almost as big as this house. So scale-wise, they're not in scale to each other. But I still like the way that they look. In an abstract, I'm not trying to do some kind of a fancy painting. It's okay. You do it however you want to do it. Go. I want to see some of this house over here. And so something that I have not thought about that I may want to do is to put just a little something textural here, or even a little sidewalk that makes it look like these things are not just floating in thin air. And I don't know what I have right at this point in time, so that's something I'll have to do later. And so that's the thing. Once you get it all laid out the way you want it, that's where things come in and they change. So now the question is, do I want to fold this and put that in the back? Let me see if that's there. Trying to figure out how big this back is. So I'm gonna slide this up. Now I cut an angle over here. So to make it as big as the back, I need to cut that there, but this may cause a problem if I'm thinking about gluing it to the back, and if I do, there might not be anything right there. Although I have some more black here somewhere. So here's the question. Do I put that back there like that and then put lights in it? I really do think I like that. In order to do that, I need to make it exact in size. Yeah, I think I do. I like it just like that. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to glue this in here like that. And then I'll have to decide where to cut it. Yeah, I like that. I'm going to cut it here and here. And this is just an abstract to stick in my art room. So perfection, you know, actually for me, perfection is never that important. It's really, really more about the creative process and enjoying doing what I'm doing. Uh-oh. See? Things happen. Glue it back down. Nobody but me and all of you will know. This is still too wide. And that should be good, just like that. So there we go. That's what it looks like. Now I could put some lights in the bottom or up the sides. I need to let this dry. I need to let this side dry before I can put it together. But all I'm going to do is just glue that side to the back. And I'm going to put a piece of tape, masking tape here, to hold them together. And just glue that bit down there. But there is my piece of mixed media with some of the pieces that were in our kit. So I thought that this was fun. Thank you very much for stopping by. I really do appreciate it. I will go ahead and try and remember to show you exactly what it looks like after I get the whole thing dries and I get it all put together. Let me see if I can get it in the middle here. Just kind of get a good look at it. So, but there we go. Thank you very much for stopping by. I really do appreciate each and every one of you, and I hope that you all have an outstanding day. Bye-bye.